Mark and Mark Snap, one of my favorite people in venture. If you don't know Mark Turbeek at Greycroft, I almost said Greylock. He's the man. Okay, Snapchat, today's topic is raising money when you're not in Silicon Valley or not in your core market. Most investors want to live really close to the people they invest in. There's a reason. They want to be able to meet you for breakfast. They want to be able to help you with recruiting. They want to be able to have lots of meetings. And the reality is you're going to have board meetings and other obligations. And think about if you have 6 or 8 board meetings a year, that means 6 or 8 trips they're going to have to make. And when you don't live in the same city as a team, you don't pick up the nuances when teams are fighting or when there needs to be change, and you can't help as much with it. Take me as an example. I have several boards in LA, several in San Francisco, several in New York City. I also have one in Paris and one in London. I recently invested in a company based in Toronto, Canada. It was my first Canadian deal, but that adds more obligation to me. So when you think about it, I'm already having to go to New York 6 to 8 times a year, Bay Area 8 to 10 times a year, and a lot of other travel. So picking up a new city is hard. Historical rule has been raise money from locals, and then when you get scale, you can approach VCs in New York, in LA, in Silicon Valley. I want to spend the rest of this snap giving you advice, though, how to hack that. My only ask is, if you get any value, please share. Please tell your friends. M. Suster on Snap. So number one, when you pitch a VC who's in Silicon Valley or not in your core territory, tell them you're going to travel to them 6 or 8 times a year. You need to do that anyways for business. And you say to them, my only ask of you is 1 time per year in our location, so you kick the tires every year and get to know our broader staff. That's an easy ask. You can also offer to do 20-minute catch-ups on Google Hangouts every week and just make sure they have a feeling for what's going on constantly with your team. Remind them that in advance. Mostly you want to take an obligation off them, because if they think they're going to have to travel 5 times a year to Pittsburgh, they're more likely to think, well, there's plenty of deals locally. I'm going to focus on that. I know many entrepreneurs who complain about this and think Silicon Valley VCs are lazy. Frankly, they're not. They have many companies in their backyard and they already travel all the time. So you got to change it. Hack number 2, find VCs who grew up in your area. If you're in Detroit, find the list of 15 or 20 that came from Detroit. They have to come home and see their family every year. If they're from Detroit, they probably also realize how many great technical people there are, how many great universities there are, and they can see it as an advantage to them. Hack number 3, find a VC who's already done a deal in your town, because if they're already traveling to St. Louis for board meetings, they're more likely to pick up a second deal in that town. Hack number 4 is the hardest. It means you moving to the place where your VC is, and it may mean that you distribute your team, leave product and engineering back home. If you do hack 4, just remind people how great it is to be able to hire much lower cost engineers and product people in the place you came from relative to the Bay Area. The best example of this is Israel. The best Israeli companies have product and engineering that stay in Israel, but usually the founders and top management end up in the US. In summary, VCs have a lot of good deal flow and great companies, so they look for excuses to say no. Don't give them an excuse to say no to you. One bonus tip, if you do have a really good local angel or seed fund, why not have them partner with the VC and have them tell the VC they'll do all the heavy lifting for them? Say if you're in international markets, you're almost certainly going to have to raise from international money first before you become larger. But all the same advice applies. If you're in India, find an Indian VC in the US who's willing to go home and see their family. Same thing in London, France, anywhere. My partner Yves, for example, goes home like 3 times a year to France. So he's much easier if you're a French company than many people are. Okay, one more bonus tip. If you do live in Silicon Valley and you pitch me in LA or pitch someone in New York, make sure they understand why they're unique. Otherwise, you should be raising at home.